Hi everybody, it's me again. Thank you for clicking on this video. Welcome back to my channel where I do reviews of scary kids books through the lens of horror studies. Today I'm going to be talking about a book called The Winchester Mystery House, a chilling interactive adventure by the author Matt Doeden. As many of you know, a movie came out last week called Winchester. It stars Helen Mirren and it's a horror movie about the famous Winchester Mystery House in San Jose. A bunch of my friends and I went to go see it last week, and I thought it was just kind of meh. I thought it was really fun, and the atmosphere was interesting. It was kind of a good Friday night horror movie kind of thing, but it didn't really have much to sink your teeth into. And like 90% of it was jump scares, which can get old pretty fast. So I thought, why not do a kids book review of a book that I think interacts with the story of the Winchester Mystery House in a more effective way. So I read the ebook of the Winchester Mystery House, which is why I don't have anything to hold up for you guys. The book is a choose-your-own adventure style, which I loved as a kid, and I know a lot of other people loved as kids. Choose-your-own adventure is kind of symbiotic with the horror genre. It kind of makes sense because choose-your-own adventure can be very exciting, pretty scary. There's the ability for you to choose different paths. You know, when you're watching a horror movie and you wish somebody would do something different, choose-your-own adventure allows you to sort of have control over that. It allows you to make the choices, and even though you don't really have control over what the choices are, you do have some agency over how the story goes. The Winchester Mystery House is part of a series called You Choose Books. This specific book is part of a branch of You Choose Books called You Choose Haunted Places that deal with sort of a fictionalized choose-your-own adventure story inside the supposedly haunted place. Whether or not the hauntings are actually real is of course up for discussion, but these places really do exist and the stories around them really do get told in real life. Online, this book is listed at having a reading level of about grade 3 and up. It's about as scary as a Goosebumps book of this nature. And we do get that really cool blend of fiction and nonfiction. So if you guys aren't familiar with the Winchester Mystery House as an actual sort of piece of architecture, I'll put a link in the description to an article about it that's kind of a fun read. The Coles Notes of the story is that Sarah Winchester is the widow of the man that ran the company that created the Winchester rifle. She moved to San Jose in 1886 and started construction on what would become this gigantic mansion. Construction went on at this house 24/7 for 36 years. Sarah Winchester just kept adding rooms all over the place, and the architecture famously does not really make any sense. There's doors that lead to nowhere, doors that lead to 10-foot drops into the garden. There's staircases that lead directly into a ceiling. There's windows in the floor and windows into other rooms. It's said that the house is really disorienting and easy to get lost in and a lot like a maze. The story associated with the house says that Sarah Winchester created this house in order to confuse the spirits that were coming after her. These were the spirits of the dead people that were killed by the Winchester rifle, and they were angry and wanted to get her. So she built this house as essentially a labyrinth so that they couldn't find her inside of it. But there's another portion of the story that says Sarah Winchester really enjoyed interacting with benevolent spirits and holding seances and engaging in spiritualism. The spirits gave her plans for new rooms through automatic writing, and she just kept adding them on wherever the spirits told her to. So this is why the house is called the house that ghosts built. Whatever portion of the story you think is most compelling, there's definitely something spooky going on here in the stories surrounding this house. People have reported hearing noises inside and seeing ghosts and feeling cold, like there's supposed to be a lot of cold pockets inside the house. Nowadays, the Winchester Mystery House is actually a tourist attraction, so you can go to San Jose right now and tour the house if you want. So I, of course, was really interested in this story, and although I was disappointed in the movie, I did actually read this Choose Your Own Adventure book kind of in preparation for the movie, so I would know a little bit more about the house, and I have to say that the book is so exciting and so fun. So this book begins with a very brief introduction that doesn't actually tell you much about the house, but does provide some hooks in the form of rhetorical questions. Things like, will you be able to survive the haunting? Will you be able to escape the house? It really hooks you in and makes you want to keep reading. Then from there, it just launches you straight into the story. This book is written in first person, which is very common for this kind of book. It's more immersive, it makes you feel like the main character and kind of like you're playing a game. You, or the narrator, and your friend Amir are landscaping for the Winchester Mystery House one day when you start to feel pretty faint from the heat and you need to go inside. There's nowhere else to go except inside the Winchester Mystery House. Amir takes you inside the house, which is closed and empty on this particular day, And from there you start a twisty and turny adventure inside the house, trying to escape the house and interacting with various spirits inside. So this book is pretty short. It's actually only 101 pages with the back matter included. There's a satisfying number of paths that you can take to get through the story. Some of the paths do end in death and some of them do end in escape. There's one path that actually ends in your character having like eternal guilt and shame. A little out of place, but like whatever, I can get on board. Like many other books in this subgenre, a lot of the outcomes have to do with moral decisions that you made along the way. So for example, if you decide to steal something, that outcome will lead directly to death. But if you decide not to steal something, something good will happen to you. It can come across as a little didactic, but it didn't bug me too much considering the genre that I was reading. I actually expected it. The main content of the book includes photographs from the Winchester House, which I really liked. Having that sort of non-fiction element together with the fictional element was really exciting. I thought Matt Doeden did a great job of weaving historical aspects of the house and the stories that have grown up around this house into the fictional content of the book. I thought that was really seamless and really great. But I have to say that my favorite part of the book is the quality back matter. I'm a big proponent of good back matter in nonfiction books for kids. Any kids book in the nonfiction genre, even if it has fictionalized aspects like this one, should have some quality information in the back that the reader can refer to for further readings, or if the reader wants to know the sources of the author's facts. So after you finish the main story content of this book, you can go into the back and read about the history of the Winchester House. There's a glossary for terms that were used in the main content and in the back matter of the book. There is a timeline. There's a fast facts page, which I really liked. And there's also some really cool thought-provoking questions that encourage the reader to think about hauntings from different perspectives. It's interesting that all of this information about the Winchester Mystery House should be presented at the back of this book as opposed to the beginning. This means that readers going into the book not knowing really anything about the Winchester Mystery House, which was me when I read this book before I saw the movie, they are exposed to elements of the history of the Winchester Mystery House in the story content of the book without really knowing what's happening or what's going on. So there are parts of the story content that deal with the earthquake of 1906, for example. Reading that, I had no idea whether or not this was an actual thing that happened. But when I read the back matter, I realized that that is what that part was referring to. At first I was a little conflicted about this because I thought maybe I would have wanted to know more about the history before going into the story, but thinking about it a little bit more, I actually think it really works having most of the information at the back as opposed to the beginning, because it was fun for me to actually look at the back matter and relate what happened in the story content to what happened in real life. The content of the book aside, I was also really delighted because I haven't actually read a choose your own adventure book in a really long time. I think when I was a kid, I read a ton of the Goosebumps ones, but it didn't really translate into my reading life as an adult. I never really thought about how appropriate the ebook form is for choose your own adventure stories. With the ebook, I was actually able to click back to the page where I had made my last decision. I found that to be a really easy and fun way to do this, especially as someone who, as a kid, when I was reading them in print, I had to use multiple bookmarks everywhere in order to try and save the page where I last made my decision. But as people who read these kind of books know, as you get far along into a path, this can get kind of complicated. It made reading the print book a little bit laborious in a way that the ebook totally resolves. Overall, I thought this book was a super fun read. It is absolutely something I would have devoured as a kid. I know there are kids like this out there because I was one of those kids that saw trailers for horror movies and wanted to see the movies, but just wasn't ready. I think this is a really good one for teachers, librarians, parents, guardians, to give kids in their lives that might be interested in the Winchester Mystery House, but are too young to see the movie yet. I did learn a lot reading this book. One of the nice things about kids nonfiction is that it's kind of a Cole's Notes for something that could technically be a pretty complicated story. So if you want to learn something really fast about a single topic, a kids nonfiction book is a really great place to go. I bought the ebook for this online for like under $10, and I'm not affiliated with anyone having to do with the book, of course. I just really like affordable kids books, and this one is super affordable if you do buy the ebook version. I'm not sure how much the print version is, but I suspect it's not that much either. Alright guys, so that is it for my review today. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see more of me on here, go ahead and click subscribe. And if you liked this particular video, go ahead and give it a like. Leave a comment down below and let me know what you thought of the movie, or if you've read this book, let me know what you think of that. And let me know if you've ever been to the Winchester Mystery House. I've never been, and I would really like to go. It sounds like a really interesting piece of architecture to visit. The people that own the Winchester House must be seeing dollar signs right now, so maybe prices will go up. I don't even know. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!